I wonder now, sitting in the seat that you're in as CEO of Bedrock, Detroit is known for being the motor city, but industries change, sectors change. Sitting where you're at, and I'm hearing you talk about opportunity and the quote, more for than profit, it speaks to me about community and given opportunities to all. And so I wonder, when you got off the couch, you took this role. I mean, you didn't have to, but you did. Was it primarily to provide opportunity? And what's the end goal? Is it to say, yes, we've now created a sector here where we provide opportunity in the world of real estate? Do I move on to another city to see if we can replicate it? Or I want to make sure that this city here and everybody in the 313 thrives and know that this is a city that is on the rise?
Well, I think first I always go back to the fact that cities evolve. This is a moment in time where I believe I have an opportunity and candidly the ability to create a template, perhaps, that others may wish to replicate. I mean, certainly, I think Dan Gilbert's for more than profit model is one that one would hope that others would replicate.
What does that mean for more than profit? What does that mean?
For more than profit, it means you don't have to just look at the bottom line. You just don't necessarily have to look at spreadsheets and convinced by what the spreadsheet says. You have to also think about the long-term impact of what is being done. And if you do it right, you will get your profit. You will get your profit, but you can't just look to the bottom line. And I think that's beginning to play out here in Detroit, and I'm pretty sure it will play out in Cleveland. And the fact of the matter is, you also need a very strong public partner. Don't get me wrong, because you do need a public partner to help leverage the private capital that you're putting in. But again, it's a longer term view because you're thinking about the fundamental social infrastructure in addition to the economic infrastructure. And that's you can't just look for 5 to 7 year returns. Well, frankly, if you can, it's just a different business. Let me put it that way. And people do that all the time. But he's done pretty well with his for more than profit outlook.
For the young professionals that want to get into urban development, what advice would you give them, and what roadblocks would you have them avoid in their career, if you can guide them?
Well, urban development is very broad, right? I happen to have had the pathway where I started as an architect and then as a planner, and then fundamentally in the public sector for many years in a variety of different roles, understanding how cities work and how cities are funded, and then I got into the private sector, working in creating and working within public-private partnerships to take bigger long-term bets on urban development. I would suggest, I always say this to youngsters who are interested in maybe following portions of my path, first really understand how cities work. How do cities get their capital? How is it possible to leverage taxes? Municipal finance is one of the strongest tools that we have been able to use to leverage our private capital. And it's not just us. I mean, other developers use it too. But it is, I think it's an extremely powerful tool when joined in a public-private partnership. So that's the first thing I would say. And secondly, look, if folks want to frankly just be real estate investors and do, the odd real estate development here and there is a pathway for that. That's just not what I do. That's not what I do. It doesn't interest me to do that. But that's all. But there are a lot of developers who work throughout the country, and they work on single assets throughout different cities, and they do very, very well. And I'm hoping maybe to attract some of those to work with us on some of our assets here. But we tend to focus on, as we say, very specific long-term plans within cities. And we're focused on 2 cities, and the 2 cities are primarily because that's where Dan Gilbert has invested significant capital already. He invested significant capital through the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland, and so we have a fairly his other rocket companies have a base in Cleveland, and so we believe that city should grow with us, him, the rocket companies. And of course, Detroit downtown is his hometown, and Detroit is the location for rocket companies. And so again, we believe that we should participate in bringing Detroit up with the citizenry of Detroit. So, but back to sort of the second part of what I think is important for folks who are interested in urban development to understand, and that's the importance of active listening in the community. The community has several voices, which is a great thing. The diversity of opinion is critically important, but you have to have an ear to hear it, and you have to have community partners to help filter it, and then you have to have the city partner to help execute, so that you're constantly thinking through how you can help build up the community in this process. We go out of our way to find stellar examples of local entrepreneurs in community neighborhoods and see if we can use our platform and our framework to highlight what they do and bring them into our facilities, bring them into prominent spaces in downtown. In Cleveland, we have a number of community businesses in the Tower City, and certainly in downtown Detroit along Woodward. We create opportunities in our real estate portfolio to showcase local entrepreneurs and local businesses. As we do so, we find some of them actually thrive and raise their profile far beyond what they had perhaps in the neighborhoods. And I think that's important too, as a part of just community and civic pride, to show that Detroit has these wonderful, wonderful businesses, and all they're looking for is an opportunity. So the ability to create that opportunity for them, I think, is critical to the urban development framework.